She's the smartest, kindest, and most considerate member of the family, but it seems like Lisa is constantly being put down. From being used as a gambling tool by her dad, to having her brother literally try to frame her for murder, these are all the times Lisa was abused. We're starting our list with Lisa the Greek, an episode where Lisa tries to bond with her father, only to discover he has an underlying motive. The episode opens with Homer parked on the couch, shoveling garbage food into his face, ready for another Sunday of yelling at the TV over football. Pretty much a typical day for Homer, but Lisa actually wants some attention from her dad for once and shows him the shoebox apartment she made for her Malibu Stacy dolls. Of course, Homer's so locked into his game and the fact that Denver's losing his $20 bet that he can't even fake interest in his own daughter. So Lisa goes to Marge, who gives her some questionable advice. Pretend to like the thing he likes. Well, Lisa's down for that, so she tries to hang with him, picking up on his sports stuff. Homer really doesn't want to spend time with any of his kids, but especially Lisa. He reluctantly goes along with it anyway, just to, keep her quiet. But then the game he's bet on goes sour and he's furious, raging at the TV and blaming that stupid anchorman for his bad call. Desperate to win back his money, Homer drags Lisa in to pick a winner for him. You just know that if it loses, she's not gonna be treated well. But don't worry, she picks right. He bets on it and they win. And suddenly, it's like Lisa is some kind of good luck charm for his gambling. So he's all about making Daddy-Daughter Day their Sunday ritual. So it turns out that Lisa doesn't always get abused, so long as she's doing something that earns her dad money. But Lisa, the poor kid, actually thinks this means he's bonding with her for real. And for a while, he's happy splurging on the family with his new winnings. But Marge starts sniffing around about where this money's coming from. And she doesn't like the idea of Lisa being used as some kind of gambling jockey. Marge, it was literally your advice. Meanwhile, Homer's playing Lisa like a fiddle, all the while planning to ditch her the second football season's over. Like a good dad. Sure enough, the Super Bowl's done, and just like that, Daddy-Daughter Day is dead to him until next season. Sorry, Lisa. She's totally crushed. She finally realizes she's just been his personal betting scheme and not his daughter. She even has this nightmare about turning into some washed-up casino freak, divorced 3 times over, because her dad only saw her as a gambling tool. She's done with the whole thing and gives up all the gifts he bought for her. All she wanted was to bond with her dad, and all he wanted was a beer and a $20 win. Homer tries to make things up to her, but Lisa's cold, and all Homer really wants is a winning bet. She throws him a cryptic bone. If she still loves him, Washington will win the Super Bowl. If she doesn't, Buffalo will. I respect the coldness of the whole thing, honestly. Come game time, Homer is a nervous wreck, and when Washington pulls off a last-second win, he's got his answer. The next week, he actually does take Lisa hiking just like he promised. Briefly, he's huffing and puffing, but for once, he's trying for her, and she lets it slide. I mean, on the bright side, he might die if he does too much exercise, so it's a win-win for her either way. But that's not always the case. Like when Bart just tried to frame her to make her look like an irresponsible babysitter in My Sister, My Sitter. Alright, so the episode begins and Lisa's on this whole babysitting kick after reading some corny babysitter book. She's hyped and even throws an ad in the church bulletin, thinking everyone will be lining up to hire her to look after her kids. As is usually the case with Lisa, Marge crushes her dreams right out the gate. Nobody wants a kid to babysit their kids. Real supportive as ever, Marge. But then, of course, Ned Flanders swings by with his saintly smile, asking Homer to watch his kids, and Lisa's all over it. She convinces Ned to give her a shot, and shockingly, she does fine. Whoever could have expected that? She does so well that soon, she's the hottest babysitter in town. Take that, Marge! So later on, Marge and Homer are ready to go out for Squidport's reopening, so they dump Bart and Maggie on Lisa too. And Bart, absolute hellspawn Bart, loses it at the idea of his kid sister bossing him around. He decides to turn the whole night into an Olympic-level performance of chaos. He starts small, refusing dinner and acting like a baby. But then he goes full psycho, feeding Maggie caffeinated ice cream and sending her bouncing off the walls. And a baby on caffeine ice cream, the crash is gonna be bad. But that bathroom visit will be even worse. Lisa's about to lose her mind. And Bart just keeps piling on with prank calls, massive food orders, and random guests showing up at the door. Finally, she orders him to go to bed, but he starts up with this "you said go to bread" nonsense and just keeps pushing until Lisa's about ready to strangle him. She just cannot get any respect in this family, huh? It all blows up when Bart ends up falling down the stairs and getting a fat lump on his head, plus a jacked up arm. But does Bart stop? He doesn't even know the meaning of the word, thanks to a Springfield education. He locks himself in his room to preserve his injuries as evidence for when the parents come back, knowing it'll mean Lisa's babysitting career is dead and buried. He even bangs his head on the door to make the lump worse, then passes out. I mean, is he really going above and beyond to totally destroy Lisa's life? So obviously Lisa's freaking out. She stuffs Bart into a wheelbarrow and drags him and a cage-bound Maggie to the hospital, trying not to get caught by Chief Wiggum or anybody else. But they crash right into the squid port reopening, and the crowd's losing it, thinking Lisa's some drugged out psycho dragging a kid to his death. So you know she's gonna get it worse than any other time in the history of the show. Dr. Hibbert calls her a crappy babysitter right in front of her parents, who just look at her like she's a complete failure. Rich coming from them. The next day Bart comes around, says he's sorry for being a nightmare, and shockingly, some parents still want her as a babysitter. So I guess it ends happily to some degree. You just have to work at it to get that happy ending. And sometimes education in the secret war of Lisa Simpson. Lisa has to endure an unbearable amount of torture and physical struggles just to learn something. The episode opens with Lisa, the only person in Springfield Elementary who actually wants to learn something, going to Skinner and asking if maybe they could stop wasting time on videos and movies and do some real learning. I mean, she needs to have something to spend her time on, but what does she get? You guessed it, totally and utterly dismissed. Skinner tells her, of course we can make things more challenging, Lisa, but then the stupider students would be in here complaining. Meanwhile, Bart pulls one of his notorious stunts on a field trip to the police station, using a bunch of megaphones to create a sonic boom that shatters every bit of glass in town and leaves everyone half deaf. That's actually one of his better ideas, all things considered. Springfield should be grateful, but Homer's furious, probably mad he has to yell to hear himself. So he and Marge decide they need some serious discipline for Bart and take Chief Wiggum's advice to send him to military school. They even lie to get him on board, telling Bart they're off to Disneyland. But when Bart finds out the truth, Homer just gaslights him, saying he actually said military school. So it turns out Homer's just a really bad father to all of his kids, not just Lisa. Bart's horrified, clinging to Homer's leg and begging to go home. But Homer's actually washed his hands of the whole mess. Meanwhile, Lisa discovers that military school has actual teachers teaching actual lessons with actual facts and not a single movie in sight. So she shocks everyone by deciding to stay with Bart. Marge is all, "Oh sweetie, you can come home anytime," while completely ignoring Bart's pleas for the same thing. And to be fair to her, yeah. So military school sucks, especially for Lisa, the first girl ever to go there. While Bart starts fitting in after a while, Lisa is treated like total crap, forced to do the same brutal training without getting any respect for her achievements. And all this because she just wanted to actually learn something? The final straw is the Eliminator, a torturous rope crawl obstacle suspended over thorn bushes. Bart secretly trains Lisa to ace it, and during the test, he's cheering her on while everyone else is praying she falls and humiliates herself. Again, for no good reason. Literally because she's a girl who likes to learn. But Bart doesn't give up on her, and Lisa miraculously makes it through. Finally, they get picked up to go home, and Homer and Marge promise they'll go to Disneyland. But nah, they're actually headed to the dentist. Bart and Lisa are horrified by what they've done. But Marge and Homer just laugh as though all of that emotional and physical torture was not traumatic enough. Well, I guess they've always been pretty terrible parents, which they prove in Lisa the Vegetarian, openly disrespecting and ignoring Lisa's personal choice to stop eating meat. So the Simpsons go to this tiny amusement park, Storytown Village. Sounds cute, but it's meant for toddlers, and Marge thinks it'll be fun for everyone, including Lisa, who's 8. So technically not a toddler anymore, Marge. So Lisa's already annoyed by this whole thing. But then they end up at this petting zoo, and of course, everyone's fawning over these cute, fluffy lambs. Later on for dinner, what are they gonna eat? Yup, you guessed it. Marge serves delicious, juicy lamb chops, and it's like Lisa's conscience just getting punched in the face repeatedly. She cannot bring herself to eat the animals, having seen how cute and innocent they were, but Marge just keeps shoving meat at her. Beef, chicken, whatever the hell is in a hot dog. It's all too much for her. Lisa finally snaps and decides she's going vegetarian. Of course, at school, that proves to be extremely difficult. She barely gets through lunch with nothing but a stale bun. And when she dares to question the lunch lady about her poor work ethic, she sets off a chain reaction, convincing Principal Skinner that the kids are overstimulated and in danger of, thinking. Homer decides to throw a barbecue, or a BBBQ. Just roll with it. The point is, there will be meat everywhere, and Homer and Bart just mock her relentlessly for her new vegetarianism. You don't make friends with salad. It's unnecessarily cruel, but Lisa's better than that. She keeps her cool, even bringing some gazpacho for those who don't want to eat animals. But of course, no one cares. They all laugh at her for thinking otherwise, even her family. Homer eventually pulls out the big guns, a full-on roast pig. Lisa's lost her mind by this point, so she hijacks a lawnmower, drags the pig away, and sends it on a whole new adventure. Homer and Bart chase after it like lunatics, but they eventually just have to watch it fly through the air into oblivion. When they all get home, Homer demands Lisa apologize for ruining the barbecue, but she refuses. Why should she? They disrespected her beliefs and laughed at her. Lisa storms off, just done with everyone treating her like a weirdo for having a conscience. After everyone gives her crap all over town, Lisa decides to give in to the pressure and eats a hot dog. But Apu swoops in to reveal it's not a hot dog at all, it's a tofu dog. You can tell because you know what's in it. He takes her up to the Quickie Mart roof and introduces her to Paul and Linda McCartney, who drop some wisdom on her about the art of being vegetarian. Finally, she gets that maybe shoving her beliefs down people's throats isn't the way to go. She heads home, apologizes, and Homer offers her a veggie back ride, sealing their partnership as the pig continues to fly off into the sunset. So I guess pigs can fly, but not for Lisa, who wears her logic proudly in Lisa the Skeptic. Unfortunately, she has to be attacked by the whole town for not being a sheep. Alright, so Homer's all pumped about buying a motorboat. Except, it's actually a police sting. Let's just move away from that little intro. Meanwhile, there's this massive shopping mall going up in town, right where a bunch of fossils have been uncovered. And Lisa, ever the mini eco-warrior, starts losing her mind over it and protests like hell. She wants to do a full dig of the site before any mall comes in and destroys the site. Somehow, despite their chronic lack of budget and disinterest in anything educational, Springfield Elementary sets up an archaeological dig. And she sets out there like a hardcore scientist in training when she digs up a human skeleton with wings. Yeah, a skeleton with wings. A flying human, I hope. The whole town freaks out, instantly convinced it's some divine angel sent from heaven. But Homer sees dollar signs and decides to haul the so-called angel into the family garage to cash in, with zero regard for Lisa's very obvious discomfort about the whole thing. Every time she tells her dad how much she hates the idea, he just reminds her how much money they'll make. He's so close to just paying her off, honestly, but as we know, he has no money. Lisa, of course, is the only one with enough brain cells to question this whole heavenly angel theory, and even ropes in Stephen Jay Gould for a DNA test to prove that it's human and not an angel. But Gould says the tests are inconclusive, which the town's religious fanatics take as gospel, totally railroading Lisa's calls to listen to science. She's nothing more than a dumb kid to them, so she can be ignored while they handle this like adults. They go so nuts, they literally smash up every scientific institution they can find, even a Christian Science library, just to make it clear how dense they really are. Lisa, though, she tries to destroy the skeleton herself, only to be arrested because some brain-dead mob assumes she stole the whole thing. And then just before the trial, Lenny spots the skeleton outside with a sundown is the end warning. Cue rampant apocalyptic panic. If only they stopped to listen to Lisa. So now everyone's terrified and Lisa's just waiting to tell them all how dumb they are. But right then, the skeleton starts spouting mall propaganda. Prepare for the end of high prices. Turns out the angel was just a cheap PR stunt for a new discount mall. Well, not sure any of us could have seen that one coming. Lisa's furious, calling for a boycott, but everyone stampedes to shop there anyway. Even Dr. Gold admits he faked the whole inconclusive test for no good reason. I mean, why bother lying to a little girl? Marge in the end tries to comfort Lisa, pointing out that even Lisa believed for a second. Lisa insists she didn't, but thanks Marge for trying. Just another day of Lisa versus everyone else's stupidity in Springfield, I guess. Could be basically any day, to be honest, but Lisa has integrity every single day of the week, which she shows off in Lisa the Beauty Queen, and gets the usual criticism for it. Alright, so Springfield Elementary's carnival is poppin' as the happiest place on earth, until Disney shows up. Yup, Skinner full-on manhandles a Disney lawyer trying to shut it down. Lisa's there too, all excited, until she gets a caricature drawn of herself, which ends up looking like, well, honestly, absolute crap. I mean, she absolutely deserved better than this. The crowd laughs at her, and poor Lisa realizes she's apparently lacking in the beauty department. She spirals, wallowing at home over the idea that she's not pretty enough, even though, you know, she's 8. Meanwhile, Homer's losing his mind over a raffle at the fair, where the top prize is a blimp ride with his beloved Duff beer. When Skinner announces Homer actually won the grand prize, he's super hyped. But then a commercial gives Homer the idea to enter Lisa into the Little Miss Springfield pageant. But he's gotta sell the ticket to get $250 to pay for Lisa's entry fee, because, unsurprisingly, Homer's dead broke. All that beer, pizza, and gambling has some consequences. Lisa wants nothing to do with the pageant since she's ugly, even though, again, she's 8. But Marge shows Lisa that Homer gave up his golden ticket to make her feel better, so Lisa agrees to compete for him. Lisa signs up and immediately gets warned about Amber Dempsey, who's got eyelash implants. Totally banned in Springfield, by the way, and let's not try to make sense of why that's a rule, but the point is, she's some beauty queen terminator. The pageant arrives and Lisa is nervous as hell, but goes out there anyway like a real champ. She sings America the Beautiful, jazz style, going up against Amber's constant creepy eyelash fluttering that has everyone enchanted. And of course, Lisa just can't compete with someone else so unbelievably fake. In the end, Amber wins, obviously, but then karma smacks her when she's struck by lightning and lands in the hospital. Lisa's suddenly promoted to the official Little Miss Springfield, but the role is a trap. They want her to be a mascot for Laramie cigarettes. Even when Lisa wins, she loses, huh? Lisa, of course, is not having it, using her speeches to rant against smoking, and even calling out Mayor Quimby's corruption for allowing any of this to happen. Well, a child, a girl calling out a politician? Absolutely not. Quimby and the Laramie bigwigs decide to dig up any dirt to dethrone her. Turns out Homer didn't actually read her entry form right and scribbled under the section marked "Do Not Write Here." On this tiny idiotic technicality, they yank her title and Amber's back in the winner's tiara, with those irritating eyelashes no less. Homer apologizes for ruining her shot, but Lisa's cool about it. She knows he tried to help her self-esteem even if it blew up in her face. And let's be real, she's way too smart for that pageant life anyway. She promises to remember this little gesture next time he totally screws up her life, which, knowing Homer, won't be long. Actually, it definitely won't be. And let's not go thinking Marge is any better with Lisa. Take Lisa's belly as an example, where one of Marge's simple, innocent comments ends up seriously hurting Lisa's self-esteem. Alright, so Bart and Lisa hit up this grimy old water park, and of course end up catching some weird infection, which lands them on steroids. Not the good kind either. Naturally, the steroids come with side effects, and now they're packing on a few pounds. Marge, being her oblivious self, sees Lisa and goes, "Oh, someone's getting chunky." Now what the hell, Marge? Just an innocent little mom comment dripping with unnecessary criticism. It buries itself in Lisa's brain, setting off a whole spiral about her weight. So here we are with Lisa stressed to hell because Marge couldn't keep her mouth shut. Well, I guess good on Homer for getting a break for one episode. To top it off, Marge drags Lisa to the mall for back-to-school shopping, which only cranks up Lisa's insecurities. Seriously, it's like Marge has absolutely no idea how to deal with her own daughter. Whenever Marge calls a dress flattering, it's like she's adding fuel to this massive, chunky neon sign flashing in Lisa's head. Lisa's freaking out, snapping at everyone in sight, so Marge takes her back home, because as we all know, it's easier to pretend a problem doesn't exist than to solve it. That's the Simpsons way. Homer, with all of his fatherly wisdom, tries to help Lisa with her insecurities, but, well, in honor of the Simpsons way, he just dumps Lisa on Patty and Selma. She's their problem now. They drag her to the park, telling her to just stop caring what people think, which is actually kinda great advice, but doesn't help her. Lisa's still deeply upset about the whole thing. And when Marge finally says sorry, she tosses in words like perfect and normal, which only makes Lisa feel worse, blowing up that chunky sign even bigger. Seriously, Marge, just think for a second. Marge and Lisa meet this hypnotherapist, Dr. Wendy Sage. She takes them on this trippy mind journey, diving straight into Lisa's brain to confront that chunky word that's taken over her self-esteem. But when they go into Marge's mind, they find out Marge's own mom called her plain when she was a kid. Turns out that one word's been lurking in Marge's head for years. So I guess now we know where Marge got her weird passive-aggressive problem-solving style from. By the end, Marge and Lisa actually get each other, and that chunky label shrinks in Lisa's mind, while plain fades away from Marge. They're finally able to move past this unfair abuse they're pushing on one another. And then we get a final kick watching everyone else's insecurities on blast too, thanks to all the junk their parents drilled into their heads. Turns out everyone in Springfield is screwed up thanks to their moms. I guess that makes a lot of sense, all things considered, but Lisa knows better than to trust whatever other people say, which is why she spends Lisa vs. Malibu Stacy fighting the sexist norms of a girl's doll, and being ignored. The episode starts off at the opening of a new center for old folks, where Dr. Hibbert rolls out the very frail Ben Matlock for all the seniors to cheer at. Abe sees his hero getting mobbed, and something clicks as he realizes he's probably also not too far from the end. Yeah, we're starting on a pretty positive note for this episode. Anyway, Abe's post-life crisis prompts him to hand out the family inheritance early. Lisa gets a box of old telegrams or some equally outdated crap, and Homer just gets a box of silver dollars. So, what does Homer do? Drags the family straight to the mall to blow it all. Naturally. I mean, what else is he gonna do? Save? At the mall, Lisa spots a swarm of girls going absolutely nuts over Malibu Stacy dolls and immediately joins in, elbowing kids aside like it's some kind of a contact sport. But then when she finally gets her hand on a new talking version of Malibu Stacy, Lisa discovers that this doll spews sexist garbage like it's going out of fashion, which ironically is all she can talk about. Kinda the problem, actually. So Lisa's understandably angry about this whole thing, but Marge just rolls her eyes, telling her not to make a big deal out of it. It's a doll after all. Of course, Lisa's not having any of that, and decides to march right down to the factory to confront the masterminds behind this nonsense and give them a piece of her mind. Meanwhile, Abe's trying to act all young and relevant, but just gets laughed at by his own family. So Grandpa and Lisa end up bonding over how they're both ignored and mocked for their ages. Grandpa, feeling all energized by the conversation, gets a job at Krusty Burger, only to get ridiculed by customers, co-workers, you name it. Pretty much everybody who sees him. He ends up quitting with the newfound understanding that old people are simply not meant for any real purpose in society other than whining and complaining about younger people. Well, sometimes the show just nails it, doesn't it? But back to Lisa. She somehow manages to track down Stacy Lovell, the original creator of Malibu Stacy, who's way over the sexist direction the company's taken. She's in total agreement with Lisa that Malibu Stacy should be an empowering figure for women, not just obsessed with bags and shoes. They team up to create a new doll, Lisa Lionheart, that actually says something worthwhile. For once, Lisa has actually found someone who believes in her and sees her potential. However, could this possibly go wrong? On launch day, girls flood the store to get one, until the Malibu Stacy team rolls out their doll, which has a new hat. Obviously, everyone flocks right back to Stacy, choosing a cheap accessory over Lisa's meaningful doll, leaving Lisa and Lovell crushed. But one little girl buys Lisa Lionheart. Lisa holds on to this tiny victory, figuring if one kid's inspired, maybe it's all worth it, which is lovely for her, but Lovell spent $46,000 on that damn doll. But to Lisa, a girl's self-esteem is far more important than something fleeting like money, which is why she spends to surveil with love, fighting against yet more stereotypes. This time, it's about her hair color. Alright, so Homer's just hanging with the guys at Moe's when Duff promo man Duffman shows up with all sorts of free junk and cheap crap. Beer cozies, some tacky ass shirt that says yo, you know, the works. Homer's pumped. He's basically hit the lottery on this one. The next morning, he's parading around the house, showing off his Duff gear to Bart. but the kid could not care less about whatever his dad is into. Homer's already getting kicked around by his own kid first thing in the morning. He kinda has it coming, I guess. Meanwhile, over at school, lunch lady Doris has Milhouse on the brink of a breakdown over which Jello to pick. Seriously, kid, just pick one, until Nelson trips him just for fun, laughing like it's the funniest thing ever. Lisa steps in to shut Nelson down, throwing some big words at him, picking apart his whole being. But Nelson just punches Milhouse anyway, and Lisa's left defending Milhouse while nobody else bothers to do so. That's when Lisa meets Miss Dubinsky, the debate team coach, who's impressed with her little rant and use of logic and invites her to join the club. When Lisa joins the debate club, she finds that she's extremely good at it, but she's relentlessly bullied by her new debate nemesis, Megan. And why? Because Lisa's blonde. How dare she? At home, Marge basically tells Lisa to chill out, no thanks for actually standing up for something she believes in. In fact, Lisa's getting the full Simpson family support, a big ol' nothing. Well, not nothing, she does get insulted. Even Bart's piling on with blonde jokes that only makes him look dumber. It all becomes so needlessly aggressive that Lisa dyes her hair brown to prove a point. Or look less like a Simpson. Either work. Back at the debate, the judges are suddenly all over her arguments, thinking she's a smart brunette. Megan doesn't even stand a chance because she can no longer take advantage of the blonde stereotype. Lisa calls them out on this, ripping into the judges' messed up bias. And what happens? Obviously, the judges say, yes, we are brown hair supremacists. Lisa ends up breaking down as many stereotypes as she can, showing that there are expectations to every single one. The crowd is strongly on her side. And Megan? Well, who cares about Megan? As if that wasn't enough, Homer's got a bag of Duff swag with plutonium inside. Thanks to Mr. Burns, or Smithers I guess, using him as a walking garbage dump. Homer's dragging it around, and this unattended bag of radioactive Duff merch nearly gets blown up by the police. A news report on the unattended bag starts a citywide panic, so they bring in some sketchy security consultants from London to counter the alleged terrorism. I think it says a lot that Springfield's best hope is non-locals. Bart and Homer end up turning their backyard into a no-camera zone, where the whole neighborhood's going wild, doing whatever they want. When Flanders comes to call it out, Homer tells him off, blaming Ned's nagging for everyone's wild behavior. Ned has a midlife crisis, freaks out, and destroys all the city cameras in this huge anti-surveillance meltdown. Turns out, they were all on some British reality show called The American Oafs. I mean, that could just be the name of The Simpsons show, but does a title really matter? That's a question Lisa struggles with in The Book Job, when she pushes back against the idea of ghostwriting. So after watching some dinosaur trash with her family, Lisa bumps into her favorite author, T.R. Francis. But get this, the author's inside a dino suit. Lisa's confused as hell, and the lady straight up admits that she's not actually the author, just some random actress hired by the publishers to play the author. Turns out, all those famous books Lisa worships, total corporate cash grabs slapped together by ghostwriters. Another opportunity to take advantage of a little girl's dreams. Lisa's world is totally shattered, but Homer sees dollar signs. Homer throws together the most random crew to write their own blockbuster novel. Principal Skinner, who apparently knows what teens want, Patty, who's obsessed with fantasy, Moe, who's somehow written kids' books, I don't want to read those, and Frank, because he has a computer. They brainstorm the ultimate Frankenstein of young adult books. Orphan hero, magic school, some kind of fantasy sport. Homer, like a genius, pitches vampires, but Patty reminds him they're overdone. So they go with trolls instead. She may have been inspired by looking at Homer. They write The Troll Twins of Underbridge Academy, about a school under Brooklyn Bridge, and once celebrated but now sketchy author Neil Gaiman randomly offers to help, but they just use him to run food errands. Probably the best use of his time, all things considered. Meanwhile, Lisa's off trying to write her own heartfelt novel, but keeps getting interrupted. So she joins Homer's team and agrees to be the fake author to sell the book, which is weirdly immoral for Lisa. They finish it, pitch it, and bam, the publisher's on board with a $1 million deal. But of course, the publisher swaps their troll twins for vampires in a last-minute market test change, rebranding it the Vampire Twins of Transylvania Prep. The team is furious. They break into the publishing office, hell-bent on undoing the edits. Lisa fake betrays the team to gain computer access, then slips in the original troll version. Victory, right? Wrong. When the book hits the shelves, Lisa opens it, only to see Neil Gaiman's name as the author. Turns out that sneaky that guy swapped another flash drive in, nabbing the credit. He even teams up with Mo, only to turn around and poison him in the end, stealing all the glory yet again. So all of Lisa's hard work? Gone, as per usual. She just can't catch a break.